Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Jay with Faith Evolved, where I talk about all things spiritual, metaphysical, philosophical, and mental health. Thanks for joining me today. If it's your first time here, welcome. Please go ahead and check out my video section. If this video resonates and you want to see more content, I certainly would be humbly appreciative of your subscription. Please like this video, write some comments below because I like to respond to as many people as possible. And of course, don't forget to share this on social media. And click the notification bell as well if you want to get notified anytime I release any new videos. All right, so if you couldn't tell already by the title of this video, well, this video is all about aliens. Yes, that's right. I know it doesn't quite fall into the category of metaphysical, spiritual, philosophical, or mental health, but it definitely will impact all of the above should we ever make first contact with an alien race. I know it's not quite 40 years yet until that, historical date where humanity makes first contact with the Vulcans, April 5th, 2063. All right, so I'm totally a Trekkie. If it's not apparent by now, make it be known to the whole world that I am a big Star Trek fan. I just love the way it's opened my imagination with all the possibilities of what, interacting with an alien race would be like. And it's definitely probably one of my favorite series of all time. And, I would say, besides maybe falling in love or meeting Jesus himself, that's a single event that I look forward to hopefully happening in my lifetime. It would just make my life. I feel like my life would be almost complete, almost like when the Red Sox won the World Series after an 88-year curse in 2004. It was a magical night if you're a Red Sox fan. It would definitely far transcend that moment. And, it's something that I hope, and it seems like it could actually be a possibility within my lifetime. Now, I don't think we're going to have warp drive by then, unfortunately. It's not looking good as far as progress goes. We can't even, land on the moon again, and we're just getting rovers and, unmanned spacecraft over to Mars. But, maybe in the next 20 years we'll have, people on Mars and, as far as terraforming the planet or building bases there, I doubt that's going to happen in my lifetime. I think it's actually a better chance of aliens revealing themselves to us in my lifetime than anything like that happening. It's just the progress is way too slow as far as that goes. So I think it should be clear by now that, I think the consensus is that we are not alone in the universe. Matter of fact, we might not even be alone in our galaxy or even, heck, our solar system. And I'll get to that more in a little bit. But, as you are aware, there's been discussions of UFOs and sightings and even a crashed UFO that supposedly hit I don't know, was it Roswell, Mexico, back in the late 40s? And ever since then, there's been increasing accounts and even some video footage of these UFOs. And the most infamous one was the one that occurred, I think, in the early 2000s. It was finally released by the Pentagon a couple of years ago, a Tic Tac object in the air. That you can see the video on YouTube. It's these pilots. They sound like giddy boys playing a video game. It's like, they're like, oh my gosh, what is this? This is amazing. And they get it tracked and they see this device or this object moving over the water at just like, impossible, almost like it's like defying the laws of physics, the way it moves and maneuvers through the air. And not only that, the way it just how fast it goes. What did they say? It was like 60 miles in a minute or something like that. I mean, just absolutely astonishing. And when that was released, it's finally starting to come out, and these ex, Pentagon officials are coming out. Like this guy here, David, I think it's Grush or something like that. He came out and admitted that not only did they, see these UFOs, but they actually recovered non-human biologicals from them. Like this is coming out from ex-Pentagon officials. I mean, they have like their whole reputation and their career on the line when they come out and admit these things. Now, to be honest with you, when I first, heard about these reports, and I've seen the UFO videos and documentaries and stuff like that before, I never really took it seriously. I kind of put it in the same category as Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster, or any other of these, legendary creatures or beings that are on Earth. I never really took it seriously because every single bit of evidence that we have is either, secondhand accounts or, these people talking about them and they just sound weird, like, these aliens supposedly like abducting them and doing, anal probes and all these different things that you hear happen to these people. You got the crop circles, and there's been people that have been able to replicate that, although it's still pretty impressive either way. And I just never really took it seriously because all the footage that you see is always grainy. You don't actually see really, any good resolution images or video footage. And it's always just enough to keep you interested or curious, but no real hard evidence. What was just released by the Pentagon and the hearings that have been taking place are the closest thing that has actually allowed me to think, maybe there's something more to this. This is huge. And it's only a matter of time before, if these things actually do exist and they actually did discover these non-biologicals, that there's going to be a massive paradigm shift in this world. It's going to be a major, honestly, it could be a crisis, or it could be like something major societally that will just change the way we see the universe. Maybe a lot of people that were, didn't believe that there was a God or these higher intelligent beings or even aliens will start to come around and maybe give it a chance. Now, I've always believed that we weren't alone, ever since at least I would say my 20s, because of course, when you grow up in the church and you're going to, a fundamentally Christian church, they're going to tell you that, there's no proof of aliens and the Bible doesn't talk about aliens. Yeah, there's demons and angels and God and, things like that, which I guess you could consider, interdimensional beings. But they've never, there's never been any anything in the Bible, nothing in Scripture that would ever indicate that there's evidence of, other mortal beings from other planets, like biological beings. I'm not talking about celestial beings or God. I'm talking about just like you and I, but from another planet, like Vulcans or Klingons, like from Star Trek. Nothing mortal is ever revealed in the Bible. So it wasn't until I kind of left that Christian paradigm that I would be willing to consider that there are other, mortal beings on other planets. Because, a lot of the one of the reasons why, a lot of Christians don't believe in aliens, like mortal aliens, is because they would say, because they would have sinned too, and Jesus would have had to come and die for them too, because they assume that every single, mortal being would be, born into sin, apparently. But it's just kind of a weird logic. I get it coming from that paradigm, but it's kind of weird if you think about it. But it was the Urantia book that really awakened me to really consider, to really believe that there actually are other mortal beings on planets just like ours. And I would say the Urantia book and other channeled works do claim that other beings live among us as well. Now, I'm not talking about just aliens from other planets. There are actual residents of Earth. They call them midway creatures. And there are other permanent residents of Earth as well that the Urantia book alludes to. And that's, again, besides, all the other off-world beings that are visiting here, or even like the Melchizedeks, which are considered emergency sons. Basically, the Melchizedeks are part of an agency that are, basically fail-safe beings. They're meant to come to this world and do damage control for, some kind of planetary crisis, or maybe even physical, societal, or even spiritual progress that's in jeopardy due to some action taken by one of the beings here. For example, Caligastia, known as the devil, he had his own plan and decided to rebel against, Christ Michael, who came here as Jesus when he incarnated here. And ever since then, and also the default of Adam and Eve, there's been chaos and confusion on planet Earth. So the Melchizedeks decided to, actually one of the Melchizedeks, Macaventa, decided that he was going to come here on an emergency mission because he was afraid that, the spiritual light was going to be snuffed out on planet Earth. So that's, definitely, something interesting to think about. Again, this is from the Urantia book. There's no proof, other than that these events took place. But, when I read it, it definitely resonated with me. And that's all I can really say about it. A lot of other folks that are readers of the Urantia book also concur with that. But again, there's no scientific evidence that these beings exist until now, that there's at least now proof of supposedly mortal beings, biologicals from other planets that are on this planet Earth right now as we speak, somewhere in some facility. And I can actually, in the link below or description below, I'm going to put a link to a Reddit article that one of my friends referenced that actually, it's about this guy who actually worked at one of these facilities, and he describes in detail the anatomy of these non-human biologicals. So it's definitely an interesting read. It's kind of like the Rancher book where they give a lot of information that makes it really credible, really believable, but again, no proof. And the guy, of course, did not want to ruin his reputation or career or cause some other kind of uproar, and he remained anonymous. And for all we know, it could be a she. We don't know because they intentionally put some misleading information about themselves or their career or their where they work to throw off anybody that might try to track them down. Pretty smart, actually. Another interesting piece of information is that the Urantia book claims that there's a planet in close proximity to us that harbors what they call the non-breathing type of being. Now, unfortunately, the Redditor that described the biology and the genetics and their respiratory system and all that stuff about those EOBs, they do claim they have lungs. So I don't think the aliens that supposedly were found here are these exact beings. But nevertheless, I'm going to read from paper 49 in the Urantia book. This is quite interesting, and you'll have to have a working knowledge of the Urantia book and some context to understand everything that's being said here. But I'm going to read it anyways. It's from paper 49, section 3.5, 564.1. On the non-breathing worlds, the animal species are radically unlike those found on the atmospheric planets. The non-breathing plan of life varies from the technique of existence on an atmospheric world. Even in the survival, their peoples differ, being candidates for spirit fusion. Nevertheless, these beings enjoy life and carry forward the activities of the realm with the same relative trials and joys that are experienced by the mortals living on atmospheric worlds. In mind and character, the non-breathers do not differ from other mortal types. You would be more than interested in the planetary conduct of this type of mortal because such a race of beings inhabits a sphere in close proximity to Urantia. So I found that quite interesting, and that again, if you were to discover that there was aliens on one planet, I mean that's gonna that throws a monkey wrench into the whole idea that evolution is an undirected process. It came from natural causes. There was no need for an intelligent designer. I would say if you find one, then you should at least deduce that there's probably countless, non-human biologicals out there or aliens. So I found that quite fascinating. So honestly, now that these revelations are coming to light and there's whistleblowers, there's people coming forward, especially folks high in the apparatus of the military or the government, they're saying, there needs to be more oversight. There needs to be more, information being released, more transparency around this topic. And I think it's only a matter of time before, this information gets out and is fully made public. And I wonder what's the response going to be from these aliens or even the permanent residents of Urantia. Are they going to respond and say, hey, let's clear the matter up on this? Because, again, if you are a student of the Urantia book, you know that when the human race has gotten to a specific point in development, they realize that, okay, now we need some revelation to, kind of spur them along and to, avoid, help them avoid confusion about what to believe and basically the nature of existence in the universe. So I think at some point, I know how Star Trek says, warp drive is the marker for the race of beings being eligible for first contact. No, I think for us, it's going to be, twofold. It's going to be, that the majority of the inhabitants of Earth believe that there are other alien beings out there, other, whether they're celestial or mortal, whatever the case may be, that we're ready for it, emotionally, mentally, intellectually, we're ready for it that way. And then I think the second part of that equation is that we're ready for it spiritually in the fact that we are, we're making strides towards the brotherhood of men, that we're, that we love our brothers and sisters as ourselves, that we believe in spiritual values, and we're not going to try to attack them or believe they're going to attack us, because I think right now, if besides those two things being the case, I think that it would be too premature for the aliens to reveal themselves, because either we'll worship them or we'll want to attack them, or we'll be in fear of them because we think they're going to attack us. And I've always believed that, if we ever got, first contact with aliens or some kind of being showed up here on planet Earth, I don't think they're going to be malevolent. I firmly believe they're going to be benevolent. This is based on the fact that it just takes cooperation. It takes, a race of beings being highly advanced to the point where they are able to get off world and able to travel to distant planets, that they have to work together and they have to have a common goal in place. And there can't be too much rivalry or just, selfish ambition involved in that. They got to work together. They have to be at a certain point of progress in the evolution of their mind, spirituality, emotions, all the above. They have to be at the point where they're ready to do that. So I think that, because of that, if we ever do make first contact, it's going to be a positive experience for those who are ready. For those who aren't ready, I don't think there's ever going to be a point where every human being is going to respond positively to first contact. But I do think that, the beings who come here will be themselves ready for such a confrontation. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with this whole thing. I'm definitely excited to see what comes next. I think that, well, at least I hope that in my lifetime we do make first contact, though it's doubtful. It will definitely be the most historic event to ever happen in humanity, for sure. Besides the incarnation of Jesus himself. So, yeah. So keep your eyes open. Keep an open mind. I think we're coming close. The Wrench book does say we're quivering on the brink of a spiritual explosion of just progress, and I don't know the exact quote, but we're very close. I think, and it could be 50 years, 20 years, 1,000 years, but close in the sense of the fact that humanity has been around for 1 million years or whatever, and the Earth has been around for 1 billion plus or whatever. I don't know the exact numbers, but we've been here quite a long time, and it's going to be the single biggest event that's ever occurred on planet Earth when those beings finally reveal themselves, and we can communicate with them and form a friendship or more. So yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm curious what you think. I'm going to post the links to the video, the relevant videos and the Reddit article below, and prepare to have your mind blown and your horizons widened. Thanks, and God bless.